Minasan, konnichiwa. Well, thank you all, speakers online and present here today, panelists and guests, of course, for attending and participating in our first workshop on modern farm management. My name is Denise Lutz, and I am the Agricultural Counselor at the Netherlands Embassy, and I will be your moderator for today's program. We have put together a nice program for you with a wonderful lineup of speakers. Let me quickly give you today's outline. We will inform you on what the Netherlands has to offer in the field of agricultural education and vocational training. We will do that from the perspective of the Netherlands as host country, but we will also hear the experiences of former trainees, our Japanese friends, who followed training provided by JAEC, the Japan Agriculture Exchange Council. Starting off, Ms. Karen Backhuizen, Senior Policy Officer, International Education and Knowledge Cooperation from the Ministry of Agriculture, Nature and Food Quality, will tell us about the scope of agricultural education and training available in the Netherlands. Next, we will hear from Ms. Marloes Mensvos, Managing Director for the Foundation for Agricultural Exchange and Study Tours. This organization, established in 1949, has been instrumental in receiving more than 560 trainees from JAEC. Just imagine, 560 people who went from Japan to the Netherlands for training. That's quite impressive. As the keynote speaker, we have invited Dr. Jos Verstegen, who has come here all the way from the Netherlands to give his presentation towards sustainable food production, challenges and developments in the Netherlands and Japan. Dr. Verstegen is a senior researcher of entrepreneurship and business innovation at Wageningen Economic Research. He's also teaching in Japan as a visiting professor at宮崎産業経営 University and Kochi University. Speaking of these universities, I am particularly happy to welcome Professor Kenichi Tanaka of宮崎産業経営 University and Mr. Toshihiro Okabayashi from Kochi Prefectural Government. Thank you for traveling all the way from your far away destinations to Tokyo to attend today's workshop. Not as far as the Netherlands, but it is still quite a trip. Then we will hear from the trainees themselves. We are very happy that Mr. Kohei Ide, Mr. Daisuke Somekawa, and Ms. Midori Suzuki will share with us their experiences in the Netherlands and how they utilize what they learned in the Netherlands in their farming business. As our first speaker of today, however, I would like to introduce our distinguished chargé d'affaires, Monsieur Theo Peters, for a word of welcome. Mr. Peters.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the embassy. I'm very happy to see so many faces, so many people interested in the subject of modern farm management. Well, so welcome to all of you, and especially welcome to all our panelists, whether they come from Holland or whether you come from Shikoku or from other parts to Japan. Thank you for joining us here on this workshop. How to run a modern sustainable agribusiness is an important topic. And indeed, it makes me happy to see that there's such a great interest in sharing information and experiences on what Dutch agriculture, knowledge and technology has to offer in this respect. You all know, and probably much better than me, the challenges facing Japan's agricultural sector. The government of Japan has made revitalization of Japan's agriculture in a sustainable way the main objective of its green food system strategy, Midori. Some of the challenges may appear to be more typical to Japan, such as the fast aging population and the low level of self-sufficiency. And yet overall, the transitions from conventional farming, as we used to do it for generations, to a profitable, sustainable agriculture and horticulture is not an easy feat anywhere. In the Netherlands too, farmers and growers need to continuously adapt and make efforts to achieve sustainability targets, and adapting to the effects of climate change, contributing to mitigate climate change and to stop biodiversity loss. Being a farmer or a grower is a challenging profession, but also an incredibly important one, as you provide our daily food. And I know this from experience, not only because I'm a consumer of what you produce, but my grandfather started a greenhouse long time ago that my uncle and then my nephew took over. And in my younger days, as an arubaito during the summer, I used to work in the greenhouse and picking tomatoes, beans, cucumbers, bell peppers to earn a little bit of money. And I've seen how technical my cousin's business has become. He has to invest in a heat pump and other high-tech equipment. He has to keep up all kinds of environmental registrations on CO2, for instance. And he has to calculate what is the best way to grow what kind of vegetable. It is very high-tech and very high investment and very efficient indeed. And it requires enormous dedication. For instance, my uncle, when he grew up after the war, working in his greenhouse, I don't think he ever took a day off. When he was close to 90, he still went every day into his greenhouse to work. And even on Sundays, the vegetables called him to the greenhouse. And for him, it was not a job, but it was a way of living that he loved and in rhythm with nature. And it is still a way of living for my cousin, but with completely different challenges, where the production is very, very high in volume and quality, and the margins are sometimes very small. So nowadays, technology and innovation are developed to support farmers and growers, but it all starts with knowledge and inspired people ready to take on the business of farming. So today's workshop, we will offer you information on the opportunities of agriculture education and training in the Netherlands, and maybe you can even meet my cousin. Hopefully, this educational offering meets your needs, students of agriculture, prospective farmers, as well as already established professional farmers, and may be instrumental in furthering your own agribusiness. Your suggestions and comments are very, very welcome. So in this workshop, we also aim at getting a better understanding of what is needed for future farming business, to make it more attractive for future generations as well. And I hope there will be an active panel discussion. But most of all, I wish the event will serve as a great chance to broaden our network, both at the workshop and of course afterwards also during the reception. Following agricultural training in the Netherlands is not an easy task, though I understand that more than 500 of you have already done that. You have to obtain a working permit, you have to get used to your new employer, you have to get used to a new language, which is not easy, and habits that require a lot of your energy. And it's not only about learning skills or technology you need in your business, like greenhouse agriculture, horticulture, floriculture, livestock and dairy farming. It's all about getting used to a different culture and a different country and different people as well. And I know this from experience. I think both Denise and I, we've studied in Japan a long time ago, I must admit. And I studied here in Tokyo at Rikyo University in Ikebukuro. And for me, that experience, just living abroad and studying somewhere else, completely changed my life. And it was only after living here that I decided what to do with my life. And here I am. By living in a totally different country, you learn a lot. I can tell you that from experience. You learn a lot about that country and the culture, but also about yourself when you live in such a different environment and culture, and even a bit about agriculture if you're lucky. And I'm convinced that your time spent abroad will change your view on the world and open new doors to you to further develop your career. Well, as you all know, the Netherlands and Japan have enjoyed more than 4 centuries, 400 years of amicable and commercial relations, and our joint future, I'm convinced, will be even longer than 400 years. And our relations are made by people like you, and that's why I'm very happy with events and programs like the one that we're talking about today. So I hope our ties will become stronger, and one of those steps that we can take there will be during the Expo 2025 in Osaka, which will take place in 2025, of course, from the 13th of April to the 13th of October. The theme of the Expo, you probably know, is designing future society for our lives. An ambition that indeed strikes a chord with us in the Netherlands as well. And together with partners across the globe, the Netherlands is striving to solve many challenges facing our societies and our planet. The theme of our pavilion is common ground, because we believe truly that we can only solve the challenges of the future together. So during the Expo, we will pay a special attention to 7 global issues, and one of them is food security. And modern farm management evidently plays an important role in that as well. So we have about 500 days leading up to the Expo, and we will organize all kinds of events inviting Dutch and Japanese party to call on what we call common ground, the theme of our pavilion, and work together also to a more sustainable future in agriculture. So today is one of those events. I wish you a fruitful and inspirational gathering. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Peters, for your warm words of welcome. Now I would like to invite our first speaker of today on the topic itself, Ms. Backhuizen. Karen, can we read you? And could you take the floor?
Of course. Thank you very much, Ms. Lutz. Yes, I see the PowerPoint is on the screen. First of all, I would like to thank the Embassy for inviting me to join this very interesting workshop on modern farm management on behalf of the Ministry of Agriculture, Nature and Food Quality. My name is Karen Backhuizen. I work as a senior policy advisor at this ministry, and I'm in charge of promoting and strengthening the international orientation of Dutch green education and also to promote international cooperation between the Netherlands and other countries. It is therefore for me very much a pleasure to share some information with you on the opportunities for green education and training in the Netherlands, but also give you some background information also on our agricultural system and the importance of knowledge and innovation, and also sharing this in the world with other countries. I would like therefore to start with a short introduction to our agricultural system. Can I have the next slide, please? Yeah, some characteristics of our sector, and with green, I mean really agriculture, food and nature, is that Dutch farming, horticulture and fisheries are probably also to you very well known as highly innovative and also technologically advanced, which also makes our country to a global leader in these sectors. We also are the second largest agriculture exporter in the world. And the main drivers of this success could be outlined as follows. There is a continuous attention for innovation in the sector, also with a lot of emphasis on small and medium enterprises and startups, also with support from the Dutch government. There is a very strong collaboration between various knowledge institutions, businesses, civil society partners, and the government, which is probably also known to you, named as the Dutch Diamond. And then there is also continuous attention for a very strong green knowledge and education system. We're always working on this system. And since 2017, the formal responsibilities for agriculture or green education were transferred to the Ministry of Education, Culture and Science, but still our own ministry, the Ministry of Agriculture, Nature and Food Quality, is very much involved in the content and transition of Dutch green education. However, the side back of this success worldwide is that our current production methods are not without costs. As you probably might know, the Netherlands faces major challenges in the areas of nitrogen, water and soil quality, biodiversity and climate. So I think there is also a clear link between the two countries, Japan and the Netherlands, in terms of challenges that might be to a certain extent also comparable. Can I have the next slide, please? Yeah, the target on the horizon in terms of policies is that we really believe that we should work towards a more balanced approach with respect to agriculture and nature, an approach that also offers good prospects in meeting the major challenges that we are facing. We are actually working as a ministry towards a more resilient agricultural system that operates within the boundaries of soil, water, nature, and climate, and also preferably contributes to this. We are working towards this end, supported by a renewed and strengthened education and knowledge system. And this is primarily facilitated by Green Pact. In the Netherlands, it's called Groen Pact. It's a cooperation between government, knowledge institutions, private sector parties, and civil society. At present, there are about 90 organizations working together on strengthening and renewing our knowledge and education system. And an important focus of this Green Pact cooperation, this public-private partnership, is the internationalization and the international cooperation with institutions worldwide. I'm presently also the manager of an acceleration program which works towards this end. Can I have the next slide, please? Yeah, to give you now some introduction to our education system, we have actually a number of green education institutes. So these are the formal education institutes. We have 36 schools of pre-vocational education working on the green sector. We have 9 institutes for vocational education, so the vet colleges, the vet schools, green ones, and we have 4 green universities of applied sciences, which are working on professional education primarily and practice-oriented research. And we have, of course, the well-known university, Wageningen University and Research, which also I have understood already has a long-term cooperation, standing cooperation with Tokyo University of Agriculture, and even also has a very famous alumni, as I have understood, Mr. Enomoto Takeaki, which also I think was one of the founders, or what I understood, one of the founders of this university. So that's also very nice, I think, in terms of an alumni meeting to address this. Apart from the formal education institutes, we also have some other expertise centers, training institutes like the Dairy Training Center, Hortitech, and Delphi. These are very well-known, more practical training institutes that also offer, on a more commercial basis, specific trainings that could be of interest to you. So I will also highlight their offer. Can I have the next slide, please? In terms of some more characteristics of the Dutch green education, there is a strong cooperation, like I said, in the Groen Pact, Green Pact cooperation. So they're all very clearly linked. There's also fruitful collaboration between all education levels. So it means also that Wageningen University is really in touch and cooperating also with the University of Applied Sciences and the vet institutions. Also the managers of these institutions, the vice chancellors, meet on a regular basis also to align policies and activities. There's a strong focus also on entrepreneurship within the courses being offered, and as I already explained, a very strong international orientation from all institutes. So that's also why they have to offer quite a number of courses in English, which I will explain a bit further in the next slides. Yeah, I would like to start with the bachelor programs offered in English. I left out the master's programs because I understood this is less of relevance for this meeting, but of course there are also a lot of master's programs being offered, especially by Wageningen University. The bachelor programs in English are the following. The one offered by WUR on animal sciences, 2 programs offered by Haas University of Applied Science, and then one also on animal husbandry by Hogeschool University of Applied Sciences van Hal-Larenstein. These bachelor programs take 4 years and also have specific requirements to enroll in. There's another interesting program which is offered by Wageningen University and the TIAS Business School. It's an executive MBA, also might be of interest to you. Of course, these are very more longer term programs. I would like to get into more short courses in the following slides. Short courses and training, there are a lot. Some of them are offered by these formal education institutes like Hasgreen Academy, University of Applied Science. As you see, they have about 5 programs in English. They usually take a few weeks, I must say, very much focused, very much specialized, and on top, I think, of all developments, at least in the Netherlands. Then there's another food and dairy technology course offered by the Van Hal Hogeschool Larenstein University of Applied Sciences, which could also be of interest, also takes a few weeks. So these are formal courses offered by the 2 universities of applied science. Can I have the next slide, please? Then there is a nice offer, especially in animal husbandry, by ERES, University of Applied Science. They have a special training, international training center, which also offers a lot of courses, especially in these fields. As you can see, they have a very nice website also that you can check. Very much practical oriented, hands-on, but also with a lot of theory, of course. On average, it's difficult to stay, but some courses take about 4 weeks, others take about 39 weeks. You can have a look into their website if you are interested. Still, this is one offered by a University of Applied Science. Can I have the next slide, please? And then we have the specific, very practical courses also offered by the specialized institutes, like the Dairy Training Center. They're very much specialized in dairy, of course, different types of courses, some also online, very practical, hands-on, and some also take not more than, let's say, 2 weeks. Same applies for Delphi, also well-known institutes. They have a lot of international experience, like the Dairy Training Center, lots of international students, especially professionals also, for updating their knowledge and skills. Delphi also have some specific, apart from horticulture and greenhouse cultivation, they also have a lot of, they have some training programs also in floriculture. But this is not very much online available, so we have to look into more detail and ask for their specific offer. Both of the training centers also offer tailor-made training courses, so that's also open for further discussions with them. Can I have the next slide, please? Then we also have a Hortitech, which is also a well-known training center. They work abroad also to support companies to set up specific training programs, including for governments. They have many different tailor-made training programs in different categories, as you can see, as they have listed based on technology basis, subjects such as greenhouse construction, climate control, irrigation, heating and cooling. Then for growing as a subject, they have plant physiology, crop assessment, crop protection, and also, which might also be of interest in how to run the business itself. So they also have specific trainings with subjects like labor management, financial management, marketing on their list. So yeah, a lot of different options here. Can I have the next slide, please? Yeah, so this is very shortly for you an overview of what we have to offer from different perspectives, for different levels and lengths. I hope it will inspire you, and I hope it will also meet your expectations. It is, I think, also important to note that all these institutions that I've mentioned are also able and willing to develop specific tailor-made training programs. They have long-standing international cooperation also in many different countries, Europe, but also in Africa, in Southeast Asia and Asia. So I'd be most willing, together with my colleague, Mr. Jan Steverink, to share some more information with you, or also bring you in contact with these institutions. I also hope that the websites that are mentioned will also be helpful. And I'm really looking forward to further be in discussion with you on different opportunities and how we can work together in the future. Thank you very much.
Could you take the floor, Marloes, and tell us more about your trainee program?
Yes, thank you very much. Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm here to tell you a little bit about the program that Stichting Uitwisseling, I will call it SUSP later, is offering for Japanese trainees in the Netherlands. Next, please. Well, SUSP is a very old organization. We started in the year 1949. It was not me, of course. I was not born yet. And what we have been doing ever since is we organize a practical training period for youngsters from all over the world in the Netherlands. And as was said by the previous speakers, when you are in the Netherlands, you will have the experience of a lifetime, because you will experience another culture. You will develop yourself as a person. You will get to know yourself much better. And of course, you will learn new skills, or you will apply your skills in another environment. And as was also said, the Netherlands has a very good reputation in agriculture and horticulture. And therefore, our hosts in all sectors have a lot to offer. Next, please. We have started working with the Japanese Agricultural Exchange Council. I will refer to them as JAEC in the next lines. They started in 1952 with sending trainees to the USA. And they became part of a network of companies or exchange foundations, universities that do cultural exchange programs and training programs. So they became part of the network. And in 1963, we received the first small group of 3 Japanese trainees from Japan. Next, please. And so far, we have always worked with Japan, and we have received 568 Japanese trainees via JAEC. And we have also sent some Dutch people to Japan, but that's much lower. And that has several reasons. In Japan, it was always necessary for the Dutch people to be able to communicate in English. And that's not so common for a Dutch person to communicate in Japanese language. I'm sorry, I said English, I meant Japanese. And so we have only sent 25 youngsters from the Netherlands to Japan. And well, maybe that will change, because nowadays we see that more people in Japan speak English language. Next, please. Well, and we offer training placements in all the green sectors. So we have the dairy placements, livestock placements, mixed and arable farming, and of course, horticulture, because the Netherlands is famous for horticulture. So there's always a lot of demand for those kind of placements. And it could be in vegetable production, it could be in ornamental plants, cut flowers, vegetables. Many options are available. Next, please. And we, in general, we say that a trainee can arrive throughout the whole year. Of course, in the wintertime, there's less possibilities in all sectors. Some placements are available for the whole year, but it can be difficult in the wintertime. And of course, you cannot go into field vegetables when it's wintertime. And sometimes it is not possible to find a training placement for us. And it depends on the season, the economic situation, like what Karin said, there's a lot of challenges nowadays for the farmers and the horticultural companies. And of course, it also depends on the application form we receive and the motivation of the students, how long they wish to stay, all those kind of things we have to deal with. Next, please. And JAC usually sends their trainees for a whole year to the Netherlands. And yeah, for us, it can be a challenge to find a company that is willing to accept a student for one whole year. So sometimes we also provide them with 2 placements, because then it may be a better way to place them. And because the culture is so different from Japan, for the Japanese trainees, they start always with a group. In Enschede area, this is near the German border, they will stay as a group with somebody who helps them to get a little bit used to this completely different culture that we have compared to Japan. And they can listen to a Dutch person speaking English, because already you hear me speaking English, which will be different from a Japanese person pronouncing the English language. So you have to get a little bit used to that. And so it's a good thing that they stay together for the first 2 weeks. Next, please. And after this period, the trainees go their own way by trains, which is very well organized in the Netherlands. They go to the nearest train station where the host company is situated. And there they start with the practical training. And the practical training is all described in a training plan. And the Dutch authorities, they require both the company and the trainee to follow this training plan, so that they know, okay, this is what I'm going to do in this month. And they also should keep record of all the competences they have achieved or developed during this time. Because it's very important to see where was I when I began, and where am I standing now, to keep track of the learning curve. Next, please. And of course, it's always important for a trainee. Okay, I will go to the Netherlands, I will do a training, but where will I live? How will this be? And it's very hard, because you make up something in your head, but you never know exactly. And we also do not know exactly, when we start looking for a placement, where the trainees will live. Because first and foremost for us is the training placement itself. And then based on that, we see, okay, is there a possibility for the trainee to live with the host company family? Or do we need to find a host family that is not working in the company, but not too close from the training side? It could also be in a student house in which we have several students living from other countries, so the students will live together. But for us, always, it's very important that the training placement is a correct one for the student to learn what they need to learn. And then the housing, of course, it is important, and you have your own room, and it should be clean, or you should be able to clean it, and you have to have a safe environment. And if you have to commute to work, well, you always have a bicycle at your disposal, and then you can drive with your bicycle to the company, and it will never be more than 10 kilometers cycling. But that is, yeah, it's common in the Netherlands. Many people ride a bicycle to work. Next, please. And yeah, we cannot do our work for free. We charge a fee to the trainees, and that is all via JAC, because they also have to do a lot of work. What we do at our end is we include the placement, the housing, we organize the work permit, we offer an introduction meeting, we follow up with the trainees. You will get a dictionary with some agricultural and horticultural terms, so you can look it up, Japanese to English. You'll get a trainee handbook, a competence document to keep record of what you have learned. We will invite you to a fun meeting We call it midpoint meeting, where all the trainees are invited to attend. And if there's an emergency, you can always reach us. And if you stay for longer than 90 days, you also have to pay the fees for the visa fee. It's a residence permit. But we will guide you through the whole process. Next, please. And we require the participants to be between 18 years and 26 years old. They have to be a student during the full duration of the training, and it should be at a college or university level. And this training has to be a voluntary training or an obligated part of your study. But also recent graduates may participate, but they have to start within 2 years after they have got their diploma. And if you have studied, for instance, dairy farming, the training will be in dairy. You cannot go to a greenhouse operation. It should be in line with what you have studied. And the students need to be able to have a conversation in English. We don't require Oxford level English, but you have to be able to ask questions, get some input from your host, and therefore it's important to be able to communicate. Next, please. And of course, you have to be motivated to build your professional career in this field, because if you are just coming to the Netherlands and you are not really interested in this sector, it won't work. Your host will not be happy, and probably you also will not be very keen to learn a lot. Be interested in the culture in the Netherlands. We would like you to have some experience in agriculture and horticulture, because yeah, this is what you're going to do. You have to be able to ride a bicycle without side wheels, and you have to be able to do the 10 kilometer within 1 hour. If it takes you longer, it will be too long. And therefore you have to be in good health, not married, not a criminal record, and you have to have good references. Next, please. We also make sure that you have a good insurance, and that's important. If you have if you need medical attention, need to go to the hospital or whatever, it's all insured, and via JAC we make sure that you get the proper insurance. Next, please. And trainees earn money in the Netherlands. This is by law, and it looks like a large number, maybe. Well, it depends all on what you need to spend in the Netherlands. It will be around 1,100 euros per month before taxes. But out of this, you pay for housing and food. Every trainee pays the same, and that's the tax office says, okay, the 200 euro per month for housing. That is what you can deduct as a host from the wage, and then 300 and almost 25 euros for meals and drinks. And if you have to buy your own groceries, you will get money for that from the host. Otherwise, the host provides you with food and drinks. So in the end, you will have a roof over your head, you will have food and drinks, and you will have enough money to spend for your, whatever you wish to do, buy a train ticket, visit another trainee. So I think in the end, you'll have 110 euro per week free to spend on whatever you want to spend it on. Next, please. And if you wish to come to the Netherlands, we need to receive the application form at least 4 months before the desired start date, because we need to do a lot of work. We wish to have a Skype talk with students. And then if we accept somebody as a trainee in our program, we make sure we get a good placement, and then we have to apply for lots of paperwork like the work permit, the residence permit, etc. So this whole process takes a lot of time, and this is why we need it well in time to receive the applications. Next, please. And yeah, participants from Japan, they need a work permit. You do not need an entry visa, but when you are in the Netherlands, you have to apply for a residence permit, and we will help you with all the procedures. And if I say we, I mean SUSP together with the JAEC. In fact, JAEC assists all the trainees before they come to the Netherlands. We take over when the trainees have arrived, and then we stay in close contact with each other during the whole training period. And often people from Japan, from JAEC, come visit the trainees and look them up at the training sites during their stay. Next, please. Well, that's the end of my presentation. I hope it was clear enough. Maybe you have questions now or later. We will hear from some, we will say ambassadors of our program, the 3 trainees who've been to the Netherlands. So they can tell you what I told you is the truth or not. And you can also ask them many questions because they have done it themselves. Thank you very much.
Konnichiwa. That's about all the Japanese I know, but I tried very hard to learn more. But I'm very happy to see many people that I met before in this room. And to all the others, I would like to say, Haji Memashite, which sounds awful, of course, but the idea you understand. Yes, I'm very happy with the previous speakers because they have mentioned a lot of overviews and details that I was not planning to present, but I can use in my presentation as well. And so I will talk a little bit more about agriculture itself. And because this is my 12th visit to the Japanese, and every time I'm very excited to go here. And that's why I'm very happy that I can also compare a little bit between the Japanese situation and the Dutch situation. Maybe sometimes I'm a little bit rude about the Japanese situation, but that's how Dutch people are. So that's part of the culture you have to get used to when you go to the Netherlands. They always say before they think, and that's not a good thing, but you should know that. See if no, it's on. Ah. Short introduction. Yeah, I traveled a long way, so I hope you don't mind that I keep my 20 minutes. Last time I was here, March 5th, I was very happy to be able to finish Tokyo Marathon here. Just a few hundred meters to the south of this area. And so that was the closure of my previous visit. And below, this is also a personal note, this is my family. The nice thing about to tell about this, we all studied at Wageningen University. So I'm from Wageningen University. So my wife and I, we did the bachelor, master and PhD. And my 2 daughters, they did the bachelor and the master. So that's always nice to mention. So we didn't force them to go to Wageningen, our children. Actually, we motivated to do something else, but yeah, somehow it was in their DNA, I guess. Farmer's son, also grew up on a farm. Like Mr. Peter said, many people in the Netherlands have parents or great parents that are in agriculture, the same for me. And I was planned to take over the farm, but I choose otherwise. But next to working on our own farm in livestock farming, I also had many side jobs in horticulture, in greenhouse horticulture, and in open field horticulture. And I also worked at a slaughterhouse one day. Most people wouldn't like that, but it's good to know at least what's happening there. Yeah, as I mentioned, I studied, also started with animal science and then moved to farm economics. At one of the universities that were mentioned by Mrs. Backhuizen, the 4 University of Applied Sciences, I was working at one of them in Dronten, the ERS University of Applied Sciences. And one of my tasks there as a professor in entrepreneurship and society was to develop a master program, agribusiness development. And that's still running. And at that time, it had not the MSc degree yet, but now it has been promoted. So if you study there, you get an MSc degree. I was also 4 years part-time lecturer at the Education Studies Department at Wageningen University. And at this moment, actually for a long time already, 28 years to be precise, I work as a researcher for Wageningen Economic Research in very many different fields. So they were asking me, what's your specialty? Is it dairy farming or pig farming or greenhouse horticulture? But actually, I don't have a specialty. I do all the things at the same time sometimes. But if there's some, let's say, line in it, then it's entrepreneurship and innovation and business innovation in particular. Yeah, I'm very proud to say that I'm a visiting professor for quite a long time, since 2015 at宮崎産業経営 University. And so I'm very happy that my contact person and friend in the meantime, Mr. Tanaka, is here as well. And Kochi University, also very happy that Kochi Prefectural Government is here to attend this meeting. And it's always a pleasure to go there. And tomorrow I have the pleasure to go to Kochi, and I'm sure soon I will go to Miyazaki again. Yeah, talking about exchange, I try to exchange a lot. I forgot to mention, by the way, my oldest daughter, go back to the left, she works for Taki Seeds. So we have a Japanese person working for Rijkswaan, which is the leading Dutch seed producer. And my daughter is working in the Netherlands for the Taki Europe Innovation Center. So, and she, by the way, travels to her work by bike 15 kilometers every day, no matter what, but she has a battery on the bicycle. So that's, but yes, I always like to have the exchange also with Japan, both sides. So I visit Japan, at least 2 times a year. And so I visited Hokkaido and Miyazaki, of course. And to the left below, you see that I had an interview with NHK talking about the self-driving tractors of Myanmar, which was also attended by the embassy here. And I don't know if he's online now, but Yuichiro Kawano is a very famous cherry tomato grower in Miyazaki, and his wife is also on the picture here. And I visited in Kamioka the vertical farm, which you have in between Kyoto and Osaka. So there's a lot of collaboration and visiting farms, and I like that very much to learn and also tell about how we do it, and we can learn a lot from each other. And if possible, I invite also my friends from Japan. So in many cases, we had groups, and I organized courses. And if you're very lucky and it's nice weather, then I invite you at my house, which is on the left down, and prepare some barbecue. But yeah, you know, Dutch weather is not comparable to Tokyo weather. Here it's always very nice. But yeah, if you're lucky, we can do that. Yeah, then to the topic, the developments in farming in the Netherlands. We have some challenges, it was already mentioned, and indeed we have quite big challenges. And some people even question, is there still a license to produce in the Netherlands? Should we maybe get rid of farming? And that's maybe a little bit exaggerated, but we have some serious issues. And one of the reasons is that we have a lot of animals. If you see, the Netherlands is the size of Kyushu Island, and we have almost 18 million people living now in the Netherlands. Probably at the end of this year, we will reach the 18 million people. But these are all 2021 figures, and then we had 17.5 million people. which means that we are growing still quite a lot. But we have a lot of animals, and they are also located in specific areas. So if you see the colors, the more red the color is, the more animals we have. So you see especially the eastern part of the Netherlands, you see a lot of farms with animals. And yeah, they eat a lot of food which is imported from soy from other countries, or what do you have? Tapioca, this manioc root, also imported from other countries. Also a lot of rest products, but still these minerals, they are imported, and we export a lot of meat also. But the manure, it's staying in the Netherlands, and that sometimes gives some problems with the soil quality and what was mentioned already in the speech of Ms. Backhuizen. So we have the challenges: biodiversity loss, the poor quality of the groundwater and the surface water, which is, by the way, not only caused by farming, because we have also a lot of people who also have cats and dogs and may pollute the groundwater and the surface water. Air quality, especially when we refer to livestock, it's the ammonia which causes some problems. It makes the area more acid. But there's also NOx, so it's nitrogen dioxide and fine dust, which are also produced by cars, for example, and by industrial processes. But altogether, it's too much, and we have some problems with the air quality. And yeah, in response of that, the EU has some regulations, and they say, okay, your water quality is too low, so we will reduce the number of nitrogen that you can put on a hectare of land. And this raises the cost of farmers quite severely, because they have to transport manure to other places, and at the same time they have to buy fertilizer, which sounds a little bit strange, but that's the reality that we are in. Same time, there's a lot of regulations on the EU level referring to the nature protection, nature recovery, and also the expansion of nature areas. When I talk to Japanese people, then they say, oh, you are very lucky because you're in the EU, a big open market, a lot of rich people who can buy your products all through. We're very happy with that. No way we want to get out of it, but there's also some backside in there. And of course, we want nature area as well, but yeah, sometimes they want it in a different speed than what is maybe possible. So what I mentioned, there's a lot of civil concerns. A lot of consumers say, why do we need all these animals? Why do we need all those greenhouses as well? Because there's a lot of natural gas used. It's also for the climate not a good thing. So there's always the question, should we allow those companies to be in there? But then at the same time, also Mr. Peters mentioned in his presentation, the food security is also an issue. One of the big issues in the world. And don't get me wrong, like Japan and the Netherlands, we are both rich countries, so we will never have a shortage of food because we can always buy food from elsewhere. We have the money to do that. But at the same time, if we do that, then it means that, for example, in Northern Africa, people are not able to afford buying food. And we already have seen that sometimes with some shocks in trade that are happening with, for example, the Russian-Ukrainian war at this moment. So that's really something that we have to take into account. And not let's say, disregarding all those issues, because we have to work on that, but that's something that we have to take into account. Actually, if we would produce with the same, let's say, efficiency level as we are doing today, if we would do it like 50 years ago, then many people would die in the world, because then we wouldn't produce. But we already have, let's say, worldwide increased efficiency of agricultural production, and that's a good thing. Yeah, the same as what you have in Japan. There's also in the Netherlands a growing shortage of successors You need to invest a lot. If you start as a farmer, you have to invest millions to take over your farm, because although it's your parents' farm, it's still a big investment. And if you have brothers and sisters, they also want their share. So you need to really have a good investment. And like Mr. Peter said, sometimes when you are a child and your parents say, okay, you go study somewhere, and if it doesn't work out well, you can still become a farmer. But that's history. That's not the case anymore. Today, if you want to take over a farm, then you need to have at least a college level of education to be able to run the farm in the way that we do it in the Netherlands. And if you say, okay, I do not have the college level, but I still think I can do it, then the bank company will tell you that it's not true, and then you still have a problem. So you really need to have a high level of education. And yeah, the last challenge that we can mention here is, we are a growing population. We want more nature area. We also need more houses. There's a big shortages of houses at this moment. We have a growing industry. We are also like a delta for the rest of Europe. We are a port to the rest of Europe. So there's also a lot of logistic companies like Amazon.com. You all know they have also big warehouses in the Netherlands, and we need people for that. We need space for that. And it's all claiming on this small area of land that we have, and also for new roads and so on. So that's a big challenge. Everyone wants to have the land that farmers own at this moment. And if you retire, that's a nice thing, because then you get a lot of money and you can have a wealthy life retiring. But if you want to continue farming, it's an issue. When I was preparing this presentation, I was thinking, what should I mention in my presentation? And luckily, at the same time, October, my colleagues, the senior researchers of Wageningen Research, they have published a book with the 6 dilemmas. And it's because of a lot of things that are going on in the Netherlands in the politics. And they said, okay, we need to make some decisions how to continue farming in the future. Like 100 years ago, we make these strategic decisions, and we still benefit from that. And now this is the time that we should have some breakthrough decisions as well. So the 6 dilemmas they mentioned in the report is, should we really produce for the EU or for the Netherlands only, or for the global market? If you buy pork here in Japan, there's quite a probability that it's Dutch pork. Should we do that? Why can't you produce it yourself? And why should we all do it in this small piece of land, which the Netherlands is? Maybe we should only produce for ourselves. But yeah, at the same time, we also import coffee and bananas and ananas and all the things that we cannot grow. So we are a trading country, and actually, if we would produce everything we also consume, we would need 4 million hectares of land for that. And we have only less than 2 million hectares of land. So we already consuming much more than we can produce. We can do it more efficient, maybe abandon livestock production and go to crop production that saves land. But still, it's a challenge. So one of the dilemmas, what should be our target? Should we produce for the whole market, global market? Do we want to be this second exporter of the world, which was mentioned also in the presentation? Yeah, the second one is, should we have livestock farming with imported feedstuff? Because we know also in the Amazon, in the not a company, but the jungle, the Amazon in Brazil, they are burned down or they are cut because they want to produce soy also for animal feed, not only for the Kikkoman sauce, but also for the animal feed. So that's a discussion we should have. And I have one example of a company who uses only rest product. I will show you later on. Then the ethical discussion. Yeah, I have to speed up a little bit. Yeah, those are the big. maybe exploit animals for food? And if yes, how? Ethical discussion, which is more severe than here. How many nature and climate goals do we want to meet? Maybe we should outsource a little bit of the goals because we have a crowded area. Do we want to have, let's say, an agriculture who's a mixture of, let's say, nature, biodiversity, and animal production, or do we want to separate it? See very high productive areas, and then at the other place, more, let's say, nature, which is left alone. And then the sixth one is, do we want to influence the consumer choice? Do we want to tell consumers, don't eat so much meat? We're already telling that, but do we also enforce it? Do we put taxes on it? Or maybe we should have quota for people traveling abroad or for eating meat. That's quite a severe discussion. We are a very liberal country, so it's also not usual to have this discussion, but maybe we should have it. Then one example, Kipster, which is nice because it's a company, a poultry farm, who started by a colleague of mine at the University of Applied Sciences. He was a poultry farmer. He went bankrupt. To earn money, he became professor. That's what some people do. And then he, at being a professor, he was able to develop a new concept of poultry farming. And it's called Kipster, and it's very successful. It started with one company in the Netherlands. Now he's starting Belgium, France, Germany, and also 4 of them in the USA. So it's a multinational. It looks very nice. They have white laying hens, 24,000 in one barn. And he claims that it's the world's most friendly chicken farm for animals, but also for humans to work in it and for the environment. It's not organic, because there were some questions about organic in that you sent me before, but it's very close to it. And it is actually the only organic farm in the Netherlands who has this 3-star label, which is the highest welfare label you can get in the Netherlands. So it was a poultry professor. I made it red leftovers rest product feed. So the animals get 99.5% of their feed is products like cookies, whatever, everything that is not sold at supermarkets or at distribution centers, which is due date, is brought to a feed company. And I was there last Friday, actually, at the feed company, and they make this special mixture. And the unique thing is that the production of those chickens is the same as on traditional farms. So they really produce the same number of eggs, but they only use rest products. So this is seen by many people as the example for many other companies, but we will have to see. Then, of course, we are talking about education and competences. As I mentioned, I worked for the competence studies group for 4 years part-time, and I helped a lot of PhDs to get their degree. And one of the PhDs did on entrepreneurial competences, and we discovered that 3 very different, 3 very important competences are eminent if you want to move into new concepts and be very entrepreneurial as a farmer. And those 3 competences are analyzing, pursuing, and networking. And Yuichiro Kawano, he was one of the YEIEC exchange students. He has this company in Miyazaki, and he was in the Netherlands for 1 year at a tomato farm. And he said, yes, farmers in the Netherlands, they are almost like doctors. They measure everything, they make a diagnosis, and they make a recipe, and then they are measuring again, is everything working okay? They are very analytic, they're almost researchers or doctors. And that's really what is needed to have a very high efficient production and good quality levels. So pursuing, if you want to do something like this Kipster farm, yeah, then you have to organize a lot of things, and you have to take into account that many things will not work like you want it to work. So then you have to continue and try something else. This pursuing competence is very important. You have to be committed that whatever it takes, you are going to succeed in that. And then the last of those three that are most important is networking. If you want to start a Kipster farm, especially when you have gone bankrupt before, then you know that you have to have good contacts, preferably with a lot of money that can help you start this company. So this is very important. And yeah, I assume you will get the slides, so I will not continue too long because we want to have a coffee break, and you can ask me questions. You can ask me questions many times. There are challenges in Japan: aging population, people move to the city, lack of farm successors like in the Netherlands, inefficient production, abandoned land. You all know this because you have seen it many times. What I see when I've visited now 12 times is there's a lot of efforts putting in. The people are drawn from the city, getting almost free housing and 2 years of salary to get them moving into agriculture, but it's not really going very well, because maybe less than 1% is staying in agriculture. And there's also cultural and political, let's say, blockage to start moving. We see also, tomorrow I will visit Kochi, and it's a great project what they do there, and also in Miyazaki. There are some movements in the right direction, but knowing that all the farmers are already on average quite old, you have to speed up a little bit more, I think. I'll go do this very quickly. I developed this a few years ago, and I think it hasn't changed yet. Let's start at the bottom. Inefficiency, low productivity. That's an issue here that can be improved quite a lot. But because of this inefficiency, there's a bad image. So a lot of young people, they said, I don't know if I want to go into farming, because I can also work at Toyota or Canon or all those big companies that you have. Why should I work into farming? So that means that it's not attractive for young talent. And that means that you get an aging farmer population. And aging farmers, if you are 73 on average, then you're not buying robots. You're not investing in those things. So it means that old-fashioned methods keep on being used, unfortunately, because you have everything on the shelf what is needed. If you use old-fashioned methods, means that low incomes from farming exist. That sometimes it's very bad, and people are lucky to have their own food produced because the incomes are very low. Because people and the government wants to stay people in the countryside, there's a lot of subsidies provided. And because of this, it's attached to the land. Many people who live in Tokyo have some land somewhere else in the countryside in another prefecture. And they keep it because it gives them money every year. And but it's hardly used. And it's very difficult for farmers to get a very productive farming on that. It means that no real restructuring in agriculture is taking place. Still many very small farms. And if you have a very small farm, if you have only a few hectares, there's especially when it's not a greenhouse, then it's very difficult to invest in innovation. So that's a vicious cycle. If you don't invest in innovation, you remain inefficient and have a low productivity. How can we solve this? And here is where the exchange comes in. And subsidies provided, attractive to own land is a policy issue. I won't go into detail about it. But the bad image, not attractive for young talent, that's something we can work on. And the fact that you are here means that you are already interested in the field. But for many people, it's not. And what I see happening also in Miyazaki and in other places, if students are have many talents, then the parents say, okay, go to Yokohama or to Tokyo or go to some very good university. And when people move to the city and they they smell the city life and they enjoy all the benefits of the big city, they never return to the countryside. That's what happens with most people, and that's a pity. And we really should break through that, because we all know here agriculture is the best profession to have, because it has everything. It's very relevant for society, for food production. It has technology. It has everything. So these are the solutions. You can write them. You can read them later on when we send you the presentation. But the most important thing is that this education is key. So get people into contact with how wonderful farming is, how wonderful the agricultural sector as a whole is, and do also the international exchange. Make sure that students are confronted with the nice examples of farming as young as possible. There were also some questions about elementary schools and so on. Start as soon as possible. I also advised on the Groenpact some years ago, and I said, make sure that in this middle level education, make sure that it's not a general mathematical class, it's not a general English class, but make sure that every time the agricultural examples are used in that. In that way, you make sure that the students are submerged in this agriculture, and I'm 100% sure I always have been working in agriculture, and I wouldn't want to do anything else. So it's very important to make sure, and we have a big responsibility as two rich countries also for the worldwide food security. Thank you very much for your attention.
Hi, my name is Kohei Ide. I'm from the Kanagawa province, and now I'm a tomato grower. And I was in Netherlands in 2000 to 2014. Then half a year I was the paprika amaranth tambo in Maasland. And after half a year I was a tomato grower as Westland. I stay all whole year. I lived in nearby the Reiswijk station. Maybe somebody know. Then now I'm a tomato grower, but also the greenhouse, the 1.0 hectare and the 3.0 the open field. Then just now I'm a local farmer. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Short round of applause for Ms. Ide. Can I now ask Ms. Suzuki to...
Hello, my name is Midori Suzuki. I'm from Ibaraki Prefecture. We are a dairy farmer, and also making a dairy production like yogurt and cheese and pasteurized milk. And so when I was in Holland, it's 21 years ago. And I was in the farm with robotic milking, and so robotic milking is very makes to that the farmer's life is so quite changed. So I'm very impressed, and so that's why I back to the Japan. Is I worked on that deal of the lady. Lady is a milking robot company in Japan, and I worked on the advisor of the cow management for that milking, robotic milking. And then it's 10 years ago is I got married with my husband, and also starting to that making dairy products and selling to that local market. Thank you.
Thank you. Last but not least, Mr. Somekawa, please.
My name is Daisuke Somekawa. I'm from Aichi Prefectures. My experience for that, actually in Dutch and me is already 21 years ago. When I was a high school student, I have been in the Netherlands. When I was 70 years old, that's 10, 11 days stayed in the Netherlands. That's first time for the Netherlands. Now after 10 years, between the 10 years, I went to the Miyazaki. I stayed 4 years. I lived in 4 years in the Miyazaki prefectures for the university. And after, before Netherlands, I went to the United States by JAEC. So 1 year and a half, 1 year and a half, I stayed in California for the hay. It's a grass export company. That's then 2012, before COVID, I went to the Netherlands. 1 year stay in the Netherlands. I working for the Greenco, or some people know the Tommy's, or some product baby farm tomato companies. I stay in the Honselsdijk in Western. Then after back to to Japan, I working for the greenhouse in the Mie Prefecture, Ureshino Agri, the group of the Asai nurseries. The greenhouse before that started at 2.0 hectares, and after that 1.2 hectare, totally 3.2 hectare greenhouse. I was the main growers. That's I working maybe 80 years. Then now I working for the rice farm since 1 year and a half years before. Then my role is to development the tomato for the Japanese market now. So I'm already long time relationship with the Netherlands. Then now I'm very happy to work in the Rijkswaan. It's a Dutch companies. So thank you. Maybe later to exchange something, introduce information too. Thank you very much for the making the opportunity this time. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So in the presentations today, Mr. Theo Peters and also Jos Verstegen mentioned how technology and innovation are now very characteristic of at least Dutch agriculture. And of course, there were also mentions made of the challenges to develop a sustainable, profitable agribusiness. In your experiences with your own practices, your dairy farm, for example, Ms. Suzuki and Mr. Ide, the vegetable farms, how does the sustainable challenges, how does it affect your agribusiness? Who shall I give the floor first? Mr. Ide, I see you.
Typical Japanese.
Yeah, typical Japanese.
Yes. I guess the sustainability agriculture, in my case, is I can say the first it's an economical problem. We should be the past to this problem. Then in my situation, I was also same as Daisuke. As I was also the Hyogo prefecture in the big project from the government. Then we started in a 4.5 hectare tomato greenhouse as a grower. Then I think it was 4.5 years. Then it was a big situation, big greenhouse. Then now I'm still a little bit big, 1.0 hectare, but small grower. Then now I start in the more local market. So my target is more local. It was more a big market, but now it's starting a more small market. I mean, then yes. So it's also to continue to the agriculture. It's situation of I don't know how to say. I think it's a two way of this agriculture. The one is the biggest, like Netherlands, the efficiency to the more biggest and the biggest. But one is in Japan is a more behind the culture. I don't know how to say it in the agriculture. Behind the culture. Yeah, behind the culture. Like traditional agriculture. So, but everybody don't know now. About this situation and about the oil situation and the cost but so I want to say we have the two way of the future in the agriculture. So I want to it's two way is that I would say it's more important to continue to sustainable agriculture, I think so. Yeah.
And your two ways, just let me understand that. You said like scaling up is one approach, but not always feasible. As Jos also mentioned in his presentation, it's difficult to also get enough land and capital, because you need capital. And what is the second approach that you would
to know to the self-produce to the myself, I mean, go to the then so one talked about it in the, I think 1 or 2 years ago, like older woman say to me, that was a winter time. Then they take the cucumber in the supermarket. Why now cucumber is more expensive? Everybody knows that's true, but she don't know why. I think that is a problem in this country. Why they know the oil cost, and of course winter is not cucumber season. But she said, why now is it so expensive? Did it make sense?
It makes sense, but please chip in.
I think so. I think so. And also my farm is also making cheese and yogurt, and also selling to the local market, market. And there are so many pay attention to that healthy. And also our farm also take care for that milk quality more than milk production. So that's why so many people, so our customer is always talking about that. So how about your farm, and what happened in your farm? And then it's they always sing to that what I eat, and so, and a good production or not. And so that's why so I also important to that so such kind of the customer.
So more locally oriented, also in your relationship with your customers and consumers.
Yes.
Jos, would you like to comment on that? Is that a viable approach for Japanese agriculture, or maybe even for Dutch agriculture?
Yeah, what I already mentioned a little bit in my presentation, the license to produce, it sounds a very abstract concept, but actually what we see, and I see it also in Japan and also in the Netherlands, that a few generations ago, everyone was connected to agriculture because most people were working in agriculture or were living in a village with many farmers, or they had relatives with farmers. But nowadays, many people live in a big city and they have no parents that were in farming, and maybe also maybe the grandparents, but they don't know, as a young child, they have been on a farm, but they don't really know what's happening. And I think to have a license to produce, people should somehow know what it takes to produce sustainable, what it takes to have, why is a product more expensive when it's produced sustainable or not? And what does it mean for the environment? And what does it mean if you produce sustainable? And that's I think the challenge. And there is no alternative, because we really to make sure in the long term that people understand why it's necessary to produce, and why we would like to have, let's say, independently family-owned farms rather than big buyer-like companies who own the food production. I think that no one is really looking forward to this kind of future. So, and for this, we really have to make sure that we have open days, inviting people, explaining if you sell your cheese and yogurt, explain how it is done, show them around. I think that's very important.
Yeah. So this is very much about educating and making consumers aware, but this probably also goes for the link in between in a supply chain, for example, processors or other growers. I think maybe Mrs. Tomakawa, when you are selling seeds or developing new seeds, you probably also encounter maybe some ignorance or not awareness sometimes of needs for sustainable production?
Yes. I think now just 1 year change the situation all in the world. Then in Japan, especially in maybe after Ukraine war, we difficult to get the oil, the fertilizers. I think that here is also many growers. I think here, it's now Japan. We doesn't have material. It's fertilizer, for example, greenhouse material, plastic. It's plastic from oil. So we almost things from imports. Then now it's the Japanese yen is very weak. Whenever it's in the Netherlands, that's around 12 years ago, it's €1 is 100 yen. But now it's €1, 150, 160 yen.
Yeah.
Then, so now it's growing difficult to, for example, construct the greenhouse or difficult to buy anything. Then also my parents is a co-head. This is maybe when we born already know the tomatoes. Then how do you say, for farmers? I think farmers can get more money. But now, for example, some oil company or some material company, sorry, for example, one fertilizers maybe 100 yen next increase price from next month. But farmer can get money. It's I think same price. Everything increase, the cost, everything increase, but the farmer is the price is, I think, almost same. Then, but on the other hand, it's a little bit of change the situation. My side, it a lot, maybe before Ukraine war, there are a lot of vegetable imports from United States, Mexico, Canada, and of course the Netherlands, of course South Korea. But now it's very weak. That's why the difficult that Japanese supermarket, they can buy. It's like how do you say, the import vegetable. It's difficult to buy because it's very expensive. Then they want to domestic things. But Japanese is how do you call? It's a contract cost. They're always the same price. Then one thing is farmer have to decide the price. But it's always in Japan. I don't know the Netherlands, but it's a farmer's position is it's like a low position, like a low position. That's very difficult to say.
Yes.
But young people now is to change the situation.
In what respect? Because this problem about the costs and about the weak position of farmers when it comes to negotiating on getting fair prices is something we all know. I mean, this is also a big problem and a big topic also in the Netherlands, where we talk about true pricing, for example. So yes, this is something we all recognize, but it's kind of hopeful when you say that things change because of a newer and younger generation coming. Could you say a little bit more about that? And then Jos, you may react.
I think the same word, because I was in Netherlands in that's 12 years ago, but it's already in Netherlands make some group.
Producer groups, yes.
Yeah, but Japan is just now start. Always, I think 10 years, 10 years for some time, the 15 years, always after Japan is changing the same situation in the Netherlands. For example, the land problem is now. Netherlands already the government say collected the land, but Japan is still difficult. Just a change. Then it's if go to the Netherlands now, maybe you can see that 10 years later Japan. Maybe.
Especially the tomato is really same.
Yes, Jos, please go ahead.
The other side of it is that Here you have abandoned land. If I tell Dutch farmers there's abandoned land in Japan, then they say, when can I go there? Because in the Netherlands, it's not unusual to pay more than 100,000 euro for 1 hectare of land, which is it's how many yens is it?
I don't know. It may be cheap here, actually.
Okay, it's a lot of
For us,
yens.
it's
I
a-
think the land price here is around 8,000 euro per hectare, something like that. So it's 12 times the price of land in.
Yeah.
And that depends, of course, here if you have flat area in a very fertile soil. But the nice thing about this low yen is that indeed the Japanese local domestic products are becoming more attractive. So that's a chance for Japanese producers. And also the sustainability. Sometimes people consider sustainability as something that brings more cost to the farmers and they don't get a higher price. But we should also realize that when we are more efficient in production, we need less fertilizer. When we have more tomatoes per square meters with the same amount of inputs, because we have better varieties from Rijkswaan or from Taki, then we also are less dependent on these inputs, and that's a win-win.
Yeah, it's also cost reduction, eh? It's also
Cost
reducing,
reduction, yeah.
costs.
There's a
Yeah.
lot to do there.
Yeah.
And it's good for the environment, good for the income. It's good for everything.
Yeah. I was just briefly triggered by what Mrs. Somakawa said about, Japan seems to be 10 years behind the Netherlands, but I would like to hear from you how your traineeship in the Netherlands has impacted your business or your ideas about how you would like to farm. See, I haven't heard that yet so much. So, Ms. Suzuki, would you like to say something?
When I was in Holland, it's my boss. It's always gave me good experience, not only a farming and also field work, and also bring me so many farmers and also exhibition and also with also vacation. So and so he say always you are boss in your farm, so you try to decide to how to do so, and always so small effort is very important too. So Japanese people is a little bit shy, so that's why so always thinking to that so what I say, so but it's always Dutch people it's receiving to that big heart, so that's why. So if you go to the Holland, it's so you try to everything, so what you want, so it's very impressed. That is.
And has that helped you, that kind of spirit
Mhm,
to
spirit.
challenge things
Yes.
and to do it?
Yes,
Has
yes.
helped you in your business as well?
Yeah, always. So
Always.
Mm.
Okay, good. Maybe Mr. Sumakawa, you want to say something, or Mr. Ide about your experiences?
It's a little bit same as the last time, but it's and when I was in Netherlands, the tomato grower, the situation was the same as my company. It's nearby the big city, nearby Den Haag, nearby Tokyo. Then it's still the population is become up to the increasing. Then but greenhouse is gone. That Westland situation now, I think. Then Kanagawa, that also the same as that situation. Then that time I was Netherlands, and my boss was thinking as I think now it's not so much the selling to direct to the customer, but he said he did it to the it's the front of his company that put on just tomato, they put on the coin. Say what? Yeah, just sell to the just the local. Yeah. No, not Greenco. No, but Greenco also selling to the light. Yeah. That's not much. But yeah, that time he think I don't know how to say that. He think it's a local to the market because they are, and also for the education to the same as last time that the I think it was a junior high school or more younger people is coming to the greenhouse. Then take it himself to the tomato, and the next greenhouse take it the aubergine, and take it the paprika, the Bakifitsen. Yes, he said. Yeah, Bakifitsen. Come in the cast also, yeah. Let's do that, then to the education. Then now I do it same as like this in the junior high school. People coming to my greenhouse, then not the bug fits them, but because not flat. Then how to grow to the tomato, then how to the visible, make it visible. Then that was always I said what learning in the Netherlands is how to thinking to the business to the something. So then now I know that is now to my business.
Okay,
Yes. When I was in Netherlands, I work in the Tomato World. Tomato World is an information center. Then the company was how many? Over 70 varieties showing. Then the situation, the young people or some foreign visitors, they invite. Then we show how to grow or that history for the horticulture. How the Westland is the biggest greenhouse horticulture area. That's they are also, of course, they have history. Then they show. Then I invite the greenhouse. Then how to grow the tomatoes. That's a very important thing. That's the education is.
Education, Are these also things like the Tomato World or activities asking and inviting high school students to come and visit you at the farms? Are these things, because in the Netherlands we do that already for quite some time, are these things you feel are important to spread in Japan, to have it more in Japan, to make sure that the agriculture sector becomes perceived much more as an interesting choice and as a good future, practical? Okay. Well, Jos, this was one of the recommendations not on your slide.
Yes, but because at this moment it doesn't seem very urgent, because I was mentioning the high subsidies in Japan. We have some debates on that, but when they do surveys in Japan on the, let's say, the acceptability of these subsidies or the image of agriculture, then 95% or something like that is 95% is very positive about agriculture, and they don't mind giving these subsidies, although everyone is paying for it, of course. But they say, okay, there's many people living in the countryside, and some maybe also the grandparents, they're living there, and they want to have this specific culture maintained in the countryside. So that's okay. So that's a good thing. So there's a lot of support for agriculture in Japan. But I think sooner or later there will be no grandparents of people over there, and then maybe the things will change. So it's really good to anticipate on the future, to make sure that the support level, which is very high, and also the level of money spent on food, which is like 25% of your income, in the Netherlands is less than 10%. So people are willing to spend money on food, and they are willing to support agriculture. So these are great assets, and it's really important to think how to maintain this.